here's Brody Brazil.
So as a professional broadcaster, I do have to admit that I am in fact very spoiled in getting the opportunity to utilize among the best in audio and video recording equipment. At work, we have high standards, and that often necessitates having the right tools for the job. But here in the home studio, it gives me kind of a dilemma because I also want to live up to those high standards, but I also want to pick the equipment that's personal to me and that fits the job I'm trying to accomplish. For example, things like the microphone I've selected, or what I'm going to talk about in this video, the headphones I use. Both are from Beyerdynamic. These are the DT-770s I'm wearing right now, the 250 ohm version. For recording, and then when I'm mixing and mastering, I roll with these, the DT-990s. Now they're different. I'll explain that in this video a little bit later on. The most simple thing I could say is that the 770s are the closed back design so that sound doesn't leak out of these ear cups, whereas the 990s are an open cup design, an open back design. Sound does escape through the sides, which offers a more natural tone, maybe something that's less fatiguing on the ears, but I couldn't necessarily wear these while recording because the sound would leak back into the microphone. So again, two different sets of headphones, both from the same company, realistically both from the same line, but these are the ones that I've chosen over time. I've listened to lots of other different things, I've done some research, I've found these and I've used these and I've experienced these to be the very best, and that's why I want to share this with you. Maybe you're looking for a new set of headphones. Maybe you're looking for that in-game set of headphones. I think this line, the 770 and the 990 for you, could fit the bill. Let me begin with one of 10 different points I want to make about these headphones. First off being that the soundstage of both of these models are incredible. Now the design of these do not differ terribly. There is a lot of interior space in these ear cups. When you put this on, and you can kind of see this is a circular design here, this really does sit around your ear. Versus a lot of other headphones I have, they sit on the ear, they push on the ear, and these velour pads are incredible. They sit around your ear so that, there's some depth here so that your ear can fit inside that ear cup. And because of that, it creates a great sense of space and comfort inside. So feels nice and sounds nice and wide inside. Even in these closed back design of the 770s, it is a little bit more narrow here, I have to be honest. The 990s are a little bit more wide. They're very similar in design and how they sound, but the 990s have just a little bit more of a wider sound stage to enjoy inside. Point number 2 of 10 here is that both of these headphones and the models 770 and 990s are very comfortable. The 770s are not necessarily heavy, although they are heavier than the 990s. I don't know if that has to do with the open back design, less plastic here on the housing, but the 990s are lighter, and because of that, I would also say that they're better worn for a long period of time. I've also worn these, though, for 3 and 4 hours at a time and had no problem with these. They don't clamp on your head as well. Extremely comfortable here. Kind of a pleather-ish type headband pad. That's comfortable. The velour ear pads that it comes with, also very, very nice. Better than plastic, better than leather. If you are sweating a little bit or your skin's oily a little bit, this will do a much better job in long-term comfort versus some of those hard surfaces. All right, point number 3 of 10 here is that impedance matters. Now, these Beyerdynamic headphones are a little bit confusing. Like I use the 250 ohm versions for the 990s as well as the 770s. But I only use that because my headphone amplifier here can power these headsets properly. Now, if you don't have a headphone amplifier or you're not sure about it, you probably don't, you may want to stick with the 80 ohm version of these headsets. What is impedance? What am I talking about with ohms? The lower the number, the easier it is to power these headphones. Think about sometimes you plug headphones into something and they're just not very loud even though you have it cranked. That's because the impedance of the headphone is high and the output of the source is not matching or is low. So you can rack up to 250 if you have the equipment to power it, to drive it. I do notice a little bit of a sound difference. For example, I do have this model in the 80 ohm version and I do not think they sound the same. I actually prefer this sound. I think there's a little bit more dynamic range in these headphones. I also feel like the low ends hit a little bit harder in these headphones. It may be a volume thing. We're not talking worlds apart here. I'm just saying that side by side, I do prefer the 250 ohm version. But again, that's because I can power it. Nothing wrong with the 80 ohm version of these or these, if that's what you settle on. All right, number 4 out of 10 here. I think I've already made this point, but they sound a lot alike. These are closed back. These are open back. There is a more airy sound here. There is a more tighter, kind of more forced sound in the closed back, but the design of these is not much different, and the sound of them is not much different. I do have to be honest. If you put these on and then you throw these on right afterwards, you're not going to hear night and day. You are going to hear enough to the trained ear to notice differences, but you're not going to hear something that's completely different. All right, point number 5 out of 10 here is, I've already mentioned this, these headphones, if you wear these and you have them turned up as loud as I typically do while recording, you will hear the sound leak out of the side of these headphones, and you will get feedback on, let's say, a condenser mic like this. So just know that if you're only going to buy one of these 2 headphones, and you're primarily going to use it for recording purposes, like there's a microphone in front of you, I would suggest sticking with the 770s. People have done it with the 990s, and that's fine too, so long as you keep the volume at a decent level. You crank it up just a little bit too high, and especially if you ever get that ear cup right near the microphone, very directional, that microphone will pick up feedback, if it's a condenser typically, from those headphones. So these do leak sound, not a lot, in fact less than I expected, but they will leak and they will provide feedback in certain situations. All right, point number 6 here out of 10 is that you can get these ear pads in different colors, and you should also replace them every couple years. I've had these headphones and I've worn these ones for several years and probably now several hundred hours, if not more. And I do notice these are wearing down a little bit in their firmness and how they grip my head versus these, which are much newer. But the other point to make is that the actual ear cushions for these, the ear pads, they're different from the 770s to the 990s. How do I know? Because I put these black ones, which are for the 770, on the 990 just to see how this would look with black ear cups, ear pads, I should say. And the sound was completely different. These ear pads are meant to help isolate the sound, keep them inside the cup. These are not necessarily the same, and I actually think these keep it in the cup even a little bit more. These isolate even more so that you can get the airy sound out of the side. Here's the difference I noticed. When I put the 770 ear pads on the 990 headphones, I noticed that the sound, especially in the mid-range, was muffled. There was a greater bass response, but everything mid to high was just crushed and flat, and it just did not sound good. It sounded bad. And then when I put the 990 pads on the 770 headphones, it lacked all of the low-end frequencies, and it also it sounded very high-end, top-heavy. The highs were very pronounced, more so than they should be. So just so you know, although they look the same and they may be the same size, the pads for the 770 and the 990 are different, and also replace them every couple years. Not only because these gray ones, by the way, they're very comfortable, very cushy looking and feeling, but these will get dirty. So replace them not only because they're going to get dirty, but also because they're going to lose their form factor over the years. All right, point number 7 out of 10 is I love the sound signature. We really haven't talked about the frequency response of these headphones and the sound they provide, which is similar. You're not going to get a bunch of thumping bass. These are not Beats headphones. These are not, they are V-shaped to a certain extent. The lows and the highs are more pronounced, and there is a little bit of a scoop in the mid-range, but the point here is that you're going to get a pretty true sound of these headphones, both the 770s and the 990s, even versus something like, and I'm looking at them right over there, I have a pair of Sony MDR 7506s. You listen to these for 10, 15 minutes a piece, then you put on the Sonys, you're going to hear a much more pronounced low end on those Sony headphones versus these. And that's fine if that's what you're looking for, but just know that in reality, as you listen to that same audio on different sources, your car speakers, your home speakers, your Apple earbuds, whatever it is, these are going to replicate more of the sound that actually exists than a headphone that is colored. These are colored to a certain degree, don't get me wrong, but not anywhere near other models that you may try on before or after. So I do love the 770 and the 990 sound signature as compared to other models. And I would also say this, they are not fatiguing. You could listen to these hours and hours on end. You get too bass heavy, you get too treble heavy, and that's what makes an ear tired. All right, point number 8 out of 10. You may notice that these headphones, they have a certain look to them, don't they? And it's not necessarily modern. I mean, a lot of people would say that the 990 looks kind of cool here with the grill on it, and even the design here on the 770 with the ear cups, it's kind of one big circle. It looks a little bit 80s. It is. These models were designed and have built consistently since the 1980s. That's a great thing that they have not changed a whole lot. I'm down for that. I'm also down for the fact that Beyerdynamic has made these headphones with all replaceable parts, meaning that if I break something here, now chances are I'm going to have to fix it myself, but I can fix it. And that is tremendous. It's not like you break something and then, or even if this ear headphone, headband rips or tears or whatever, I can't get a new one. You can get a new part of every aspect of this headphone and this headphone. You can get all the new parts for them. So that is great too, because it proves durability. And these, I want to say, the design of these, I said they make me feel like the 80s because they're from the 80s, but these are built well. And that's why they've lasted. And that's why you'll find some of these headphones that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years in high demand environments. So just know that these things are built for the long run, and I plan to have and use these for the long run. Okay, point number 9, and now both of these are the 250 ohm versions, so these have coiled cables, but my 80 ohm version of the 770s have a straight cable. And I have to be honest with you, depending on how and where you're using this, the straight cable is very long. I feel like it's at least 10 feet long. It's a crazy amount. It's actually too much in some occasions. But for my purposes here in the home studio, being that I'm plugging in right here, I love the coiled cable on this. I love the coiled cable on this. Just know that all of the different versions of Beyerdynamic headphones come with either straight or cabled, and it's not necessarily consistent. Like I said, 770 80 ohm, straight cable. 770 250 ohm, coiled cable. And I believe the same thing is true for the 990s as well. Just know what you're getting with the headphone cable. Unfortunately, and a lot of people say this, the only thing that would make these headphones perfect or more perfect would be if the headphone cable was detachable. They're not. If you break this, you rip it out, you're going to be repairing it instead of just replacing it with a new one. All right, and then that brings me to point number 10 out of 10. The reputation that these headphones have earned is tremendous, and there's a reason for it. You're here on YouTube. Go look up recording artists that are your favorite. Whether they are singers, whether they're drummers, whether they're playing a musical instrument, chances are in a lot of high-level situations, the artists could be wearing Beyerdynamic headphones, specifically the 770, or a lot of times a person who's mixing and mastering, you may see them wearing these 990s. These are around, and these are used by some of the top-level professionals for a reason. Now, I'm not always saying that that's a good reason for you to also have these, but I am saying look around. Look at the scenery. Look at the reputation that this brand and these models have, from track record, from existence, from their timeline. That reputation, is definitely earned. So I just wanted to share with you my headphones of choice. I love this Beyerdynamic brand, the 770s, the 990s. I'm sure there's a lot of other products in their line that are also of this highest level, but these are the two models that work for me. And I recommend this. I'm not getting paid to say this with all confidence. I know for a lot of different purposes, these headphones would work out for you just the same.